Welcome to Crimepedia podcast. This week I am your host. My name is Cherry, and with me, as always, is my partner in crime. It is Morgan.
Hello, Cherry. How are you?
I am tired.
I am tired too.
I am exhausted. We have had a crazy week this week, and we have a lot coming up. We are going to be in Vegas. We're going to be in London. We're going to be in Scotland. We're going to be doing a lot, which is really good, really, really good for us. And yeah, we want to just say thank you to everybody who has left us reviews. Thank you to all of you that have checked out our merch and are wearing our merch. It is so exciting when somebody sends you a picture of them in your merch. It's just the most exciting feeling ever. So thank you so much for everything. We really appreciate you sharing our podcast, and the more you share it, the higher up the charts it goes, and we really appreciative of that. So thank you so much.
Yep. And just a reminder, if you're going to be in Vegas for CrimeCon, not only can you come and meet us at Podcast Row, but on Saturday, I believe it's at 3:40 p.m.
3:40, I think it is, yeah.
We will be on, I think they're calling it the Expo stage, recording a live episode. So it's going to be me, Cherry, and LaDonna Humphreys, who we spoke to. When was that?
A while ago. Yeah.
About the 1994 murder of Melissa Witt. So I'm really excited for that.
I am too. Yeah, I'm really excited. And then we will be bringing LaDonna with us back from America with us in June to CrimeCon UK, because I really think people need to meet her. She's going to be talking to us about her book that she's written. And we've got a few surprise things that she's got, some exclusive stuff she's going to be telling us about at London. So yeah,
so exclusive. I have no idea what it is.
You don't yet.
That's how exclusive it is.
That's how exclusive it is. I think only she and I know what's going on. So yeah, there's going to be some exclusive stuff that she's going to tell us whilst we're there. And if you want to get her book, trust me, it's amazing. I couldn't put it down. It was so good. Literally, I couldn't stop reading it. And she will have those on sale at CrimeCon UK, so you can meet her, buy a book, get to sign it. I'm sure she will. Yeah.
What's the name of the book?
The Girl I Never Knew.
The Girl I Never Knew.
It's got a foreword in it from Nick from True Crime Garage. He wrote the foreword. Yeah, he wrote the foreword for her book.
Oh, that was really nice of him.
It's really nice. Yeah, he wrote the foreword for her book. So, yeah. And I know that somebody else is writing the foreword for her next book as well.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So, I wonder who.
I wonder who it's going to be.
Not
somebody
me.
who was very excited to be asked to write the foreword for her next book. So awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. It's really good. So yeah, so this week's case for you, it's a sad case. They're all sad cases, but it is a sad case in that there's no reason why. There's no reason why this happened. And we're talking about the death of a child. So if that's a triggering thing for you, this is probably not the best episode for you to listen to. So, just a bit of a warning there. It's a really sad case. So I just wanted to warn you before we get into it. According to the Burn Institute, more than half of fire-related deaths result from smoke inhalation. Smoke inhalation occurs when you breathe in harmful smoke particles and gases. Inhaling harmful smoke can inflame your lungs and airway, causing them to swell and block oxygen. This can lead to acute respiratory distress syndrome and respiratory failure. Smoke inhalation commonly happens when you get trapped in a contained area, such as a bedroom at home near a fire. Most fires occur in the home, often from cooking, fireplaces and space heaters, electrical malfunctions and smoking. But occasionally, those fires are started deliberately. Once you start to inhale the smoke, you're not getting enough oxygen to live. Depending on the density and the heat of the smoke, it may take 2 to 10 minutes to pass out or die. A standard house fire can reach temperatures of up to 1500 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 815 Celsius. It will always be hottest at the ceiling as the heat rises. However, it can still easily be a few hundred degrees or more at the floor level. What chance does a 7-year-old girl stand against that? This is Crimepedia, And this is who killed Emily Salvini. Okay, Morgan, so Emily Victoria Salvini was born in Italy on the 31st of October in 1989. I was quite excited when I read that because I would love to have been born on the 31st of October. So that automatically has just made me really happy. Her mother was a lady called Katie and her father was a man called Marco. Now, Katie graduated from Sussex University with a degree in politics, and she met Marco while they were on holiday, while she was on holiday in Italy in the late 80s. Now, they were married for about a year before Emily was born, and they lived near Lake Garda, which is absolutely beautiful. About 3 years they lived there before they moved to Caversham in Reading. Now, Caversham and Lake Garda, why would you do it? Because Lake Garda's stunning. I mean, Caversham is a nice place. It's in Berkshire. It's a very, very nice, very nice city. And she was close to Emily's parents, Katie's parents, sorry. So they moved back to be closer to her parents. Now, Emily had a little brother called Zach, and he was 4 years younger than she was. Emily was a very girly girl. She loved playing with her friends. She loved playing with Barbies. She always gave her brother the horse. Now, I don't know if this is just a British thing, but I did the exact same thing when I was a kid. Well, I would line up all my Barbies and play with my Barbies, and my brother always got Barbie's horse for some reason. I don't know why.
What?
I don't know, but I always gave my brother the horse so I could play with the doll. So that really made me laugh when I first read that about her. Children at her school described her as a really good friend. And if there was ever anybody in the playground that felt sad, she would always be that kid that would go over and find out what's wrong with them and try and make them smile. And she was so cute. She had this long, curly, blondie brown hair with these big, doughy eyes. It's the only way I can explain her to you. She had these beautiful, big, not sad eyes, but do you know what I mean? When you've got like meaningful eyes, she had these like beautiful eyes. Now, on the night of Friday, the 2nd of May, 1997, Zach got into bed with his mum and Emily was in her bed at the back of the house. Now, Katie and Marco had separated by this time, and Katie and the two children lived in this semi-detached house, which they rented on a road called Hemdean Road in Caversham. Now, Caversham is a village very close to the River Thames. In 1997, I couldn't get how many people lived there, but in 2020, it was described as one of the most desirable places to live in the UK. It's a beautiful, beautiful village. Now, Katie worked part-time in a local pub, and Marco had regular contact with the kids, and he would go and pick them up every Saturday at 10 o'clock, and then he would take the children, and then they would go off and do like dad and kid stuff. Now, at 1:30 a.m. on the 3rd of May, this was a Saturday, telephone lines were cut on 3 telegraph poles on Hemdean Road. So it meant that 30 houses had lost their phone lines.
Okay.
So they had nothing. Like, this was home phones, obviously, at this time.
So purposely cut,
purposefully cut.
Not like a tree limb falling down and cutting them. Purposely cut
with like bolt cutters or whatever cutters you would use.
Okay.
So Katie was woken up by Zach crying, and she woke up to see him. She suddenly felt really hot, like this overwhelming heat. She noticed that there was a glowing outside the bedroom door, and she opened the door. When she opened the door, she described it just a white wall of fire. It was just, it just literally like it just came at her in her face into the bedroom. So initially, she just panicked because you just woken up, you're a bit sleepy, you're very hot, you can hear and feel this heat and see this glowing. And as she opens the door, it just sucks into the bedroom.
Wouldn't that be one of the scariest things to ever wake up to?
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't imagine, like, when waking up anyways, you're groggy. A lot of times you're trying, you had to get your bearings straight. But to wake up like that and to be faced with such a scary sight, I couldn't imagine.
Well, I mean, like I said to you in the introduction, like a standard house fire can reach temperatures of up to 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh.
So that's like
Oh.
815 Celsius if that's what you do it in. But that is immense heat. Immense.
Yes. Yeah.
So when she opened the door, obviously it just literally, there was just a wall of flames. It came in and was kind of just, the only way I can describe it from looking at it, at fires like this, because I went online and had a look at different fire procedures, was that the fire kind of like licked the floor, if you know what I mean. You could physically see it reaching, just reaching across. Now, her panic was to get back to the bed where Zach was, because obviously the flames were getting to the bed. So her initial thing was to go and get him, but she couldn't get through that wall of flames to get to Emily, who she knew was in the back bedroom. So, I mean, imagine that being torn between, you've got your baby with you, but your other baby is in another room, and you've got this humongous fire, and you can't get to your child. You physically cannot do it because you can't just go through that heat,
Yeah.
The neighbours were then woken up by screaming, and a burglar alarm somewhere was ringing around 4 a.m. The neighbours described seeing flames billowing out of their home. But the phone lines being down meant that there was a delay in getting the fire brigade. Because, I mean, we're talking like 97.
Wow, yeah.
So nobody could call the fire brigade because not everybody had mobile phones in 97. I know that mobile phones were around and they were a thing, but not everybody had a mobile phone then. And so Katie managed to get Zach out of the bedroom window. Now, outside their house is like a ledge on top of the downstairs bay window. I don't know if you call them bay windows over there, but like the window kind of comes out and across. So, okay, so the same. So she lent him out of the window. I mean, imagine that as a parent, holding your child out of the window onto the top of a window downstairs and hoping to God that he doesn't fall, and the fact that you've got flames on your back, because by this point the flames were in the room at her back. So, I mean, it's
because as soon as that window goes open with the oxygen, the fire's going for it.
It is. And so she's desperately trying to get back to Emily too. Now, when the neighbours came to help her, she actually handed Zach down to one of the neighbours, and a neighbour persuaded her to leave the house, despite the fact that she just kept trying to go back and get into Emily. And then Katie actually fell out of the window from the bay window ledge. So witnesses described her and Zach's face as being black. Their hands, their feet were black. Their clothing was burnt. Neighbours tried to get round the back to Emily's back bedroom by putting a ladder up at the house. And luckily, a guy passing had alerted the fire brigade on their mobile phone. I'm saying a guy, but actually I'm not 100% sure if it was a woman or a man. So somebody called the fire brigade on their mobile phone, and the firefighters broke down the door and managed to rescue Emily from her bedroom. Now, all three of them were taken to the Royal Berkshire Hospital, which is about 2.5 miles from their home. And unfortunately, Emily died due to smoke inhalation.
Oh, no.
So her mum and her brother's injuries were so severe that they were then transferred to a specialist unit at the Stoke Mandeville Hospital, which is just under an hour away from where they lived. A long way away. Katie and Zach were seriously ill, seriously injured after the fire. Both underwent surgery for the burns that they received. And Zach was able to leave hospital a few weeks later, but was looked after by relatives. But Katie didn't leave hospital for over a month after that, the attack on their house. Now, 400 people were interviewed in the first few months of this investigation. Thames Valley Police said that it was calculated, it was pre-planned, and it was a deliberate arson attack.
Oh, no.
So it was an attempt to murder Katie Salvini and her children. Petrol had actually been poured through the letterbox of the family's front door and then set alight.
Oh, wow.
So it was a deliberate attack.
That is crazy.
I know. Knowing full well that there's children in that house. Like, what are you doing? What on earth are you doing? Now, on the day of the attack, police closed off part of Hemdean Road, and you can go online and you can see this. There, if you just put into Google Emily Salvini, you will see there is a TV, not TV show. There's a newspaper that have got step-by-step photos, and you can see the house. You can see the unit that's set up. They've basically put police tape around the garden of the house. It's like one of those houses. It's like an end terrace. It's connected to the next house by a garage. And they put you can drive onto the driveway and down into the garage, and they put police tape around the front of the house, and then right in front of that is like a porter cabin kind of thing where the police obviously had some sort of unit, like a base unit where they could come and go from. And it's a very surreal picture when you see the police unit all decked out in like police, and then you look across and you see the burnt windows and you see the police tape and everything, and you just think, wow, like, I can't believe that somebody would just go and do something like that to a family home, knowing full well that a mother is in there with their children.
How do you spell Salvini?
It's Salvini. So she's Salvini, and you will see it. I think it might be the Times. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you can actually see step by step. Somebody has taken step by step photos, and you can see the house, and you can see the devastation basically of the house. You can see what's happened here and how it's left. So police set up this mobile incident room in the street. They interviewed neighbours. They searched gardens to see if they could find, I don't know, any kind of thing that would relate to this, a jerry can, anything like that. And among the items they were looking for were the can of like flammable fluid, to see if somebody had just like poured it through the letterbox and then tossed it away. There were 2 men arrested and held for questioning over that weekend, but they were later released without charge. Now, Katie reported to police that her telephone cable had also been cut 2 weeks previously. So she had somebody do that. Also, there was an incident, and I couldn't find out very much about this, but there was an incident where her father's tires were slashed on his car. Now, I don't know if she was using the tire with the car, and that's when the tires were slashed, or if it was just that her father's tires were slashed, but it was her dad's car. And there was, and police sort of believed that some kind of hate campaign had been set up against Katie for whatever reason. I'm not sure what reason. Now, as we do, my first thought was the dad. Okay, they've split up. My first thought was Marco. I can't find anything online or anywhere to say that he was cleared 100%, that they investigated him. I couldn't see anything to say that they did. I mean, I'm sure they did, because he's not been, he's not in prison. He's not been arrested for it. So I'm sure they did, but there's nothing remotely even discussing that he could be part of this.
Okay, so let's kind of go back. Was Marco was still in the area at the time?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. He was due to pick the children up that Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. So that morning he was due to pick them up. So
if it's okay. So my thought is, if it was Marco,
he'd pick the kids up and then do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't think he's got anything to do with it, but I just thought it was very interesting that there's nothing to say whether he was or wasn't, or he was arrested or he wasn't arrested. So there wasn't anything that I could find that had anything to do with Marco whatsoever.
Okay.
So obviously, usually you always go to the next of kin or the closest person.
Of course.
So
of course.
Katie told the Express newspaper, and I just think this was something that really stuck in my head. One of the neighbours outside had a really rough Scottish accent, which meant that when everybody was yelling outside for her to get down, and she's got this fire raging behind her, which is not going to be quiet, she could hear this voice above everybody else yelling at her to get out of the house. And she said, this is a quote, she said, "I remember he was shouting up and saying that by refusing to leave the house, I was doing nothing to help Emily. I was aware that I stayed at the window for quite some time without moving. The tiles were coming off the roof, and I think that given the nature of mine and Zach's burns, the fire was probably on my back. I had my window open, and the fire had been so strong that it just sped into the room. It was like a dragon breathing flames. It was so quick." And I was like, wow. I watched an interview with her, and it was just crazy. A week after the attack, police did an appeal because there were 2 men that a neighbour had seen walking down Hemdean Road and then back to a blue car at the time of the attack. Now, both men were described as Asian, with one being in his 20s and the other about in his 40s. And police were keen to speak to them in the hope that they had seen something going on, or they had witnessed someone else running away. Another man was arrested on the 17th of June, and he was held overnight and then also released without charge.
Yeah.
So it seems that there seemed to be no reason for this happening. There seemed to be nobody had any thoughts as to why it was her. There was just nothing, like absolutely nothing. And in April 1999, which is 2 years
Mm-hmm.
after the attack almost, Katie made a public plea for people to help find her daughter's killer. And the police believed that the person that had done this was being shielded by other people. They believed that because they had an appeal that it now then led on to an anonymous call. And this anonymous call said that bolt croppers and a machete were used to cut the telephone lines on the night of Emily's murder.
Well, yeah. I guess. I mean, yeah, something has to cut it. So those are two good options.
And that made me exactly like you. I'm the same as you. I sort of went, oh, okay, well, it's going to be bolt croppers. It's going to be something like that. You're not going to go there with a pair of tiny little pliers and cut through a telephone wire. So
yeah.
I don't know 100% whether that was somebody just given, just ringing up and trying to insert themselves into the investigation, or whether that was something that somebody really was trying to be helpful but being anonymous and not saying anything. I had my doubts about that one, like straight off.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. It almost seems like a non-tip
Well,
tip,
duh.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the no, go on.
No, I was gonna say what is standing out to me in this case is the fact that the telephone lines were cut. Not just her line, but
Everyone's.
everyone's. So to me, it was their hope that nobody got out of that house.
Yeah.
And they wanted to completely destroy that house. They wanted to destroy everyone inside that house. So this wasn't just a situation of, I want to scare them, right? Because you hear about this stuff like, oh yeah, someone like caught fire to, to a part of the house or
a car,
or something
yeah.
to say, hey, get out of the area. This is we don't want anyone to come out of that house. Yeah.
And so everybody's initial thoughts are that the intended victim is her, and that somebody's got a problem with Katie. My initial thoughts to this was, I wonder whether it was somebody who had something against Marco, because to kill Katie would be dead. The children would be dead. Katie would know nothing about the children being dead. Therefore, she wouldn't be hurting. But to Marco, to hurt him, to kill his children and his ex-wife would hurt him. He would be really hurt by that. So I wondered whether actually the person that they were targeting in this wasn't actually Katie, and that actually it was Marco or her dad or somebody else, that would suffer from. I know obviously they suffer. I'm not saying that the children and her didn't suffer. What I'm saying is he would suffer for the rest of his life, having lost his children. Katie would have passed on and would not know anything about it. So she's not going to endure a life of suffering. He would. The dad would. The family would, So I wondered whether actually she wasn't the person that they had the grudge against. That nobody's got any reason in why she would, why they would have anything against her. Nobody talks badly of her. Nobody, there's nobody that has a problem with her that she could talk about. The only thing she said was that she believed that there are certain ways of treating people and certain ways to behave. So if someone was being bullied, she would go and stand up for them. Whereas other people might stand back. She would be the person that would go in and say, hey, this is not right. So she wondered whether her standing up for someone close to her could have resulted in upsetting somebody who then thought that they would, would kill her and her children. But I'm not quite sure on that one. My initial thoughts is that who would suffer most from something like this?
It makes sense.
And I wonder with the father's tyres being slashed, there's no context to that. It's just that in the police report, there was a report that her father's tyres had also been slashed and her phone lines had been cut 2 weeks previously. That doesn't mean to say that Katie was in the car or was, it doesn't specifically target Katie. So I kind of wondered, I mean, both Katie and Marco are still alive now. Both of them are alive. Zach's alive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's now a young man. So whatever this person intended to do, it didn't 100% work, because two people made it alive out of that house.
So strange. It's very strange.
It is, and there's no reports of any other arson attacks in the area. So I think we can rule out somebody who's a bit of a firebug. That's, the house was targeted for a reason. There's a reason that this person or persons actually went and chose that house. Now, in 1997, in July, police issued this. It's so weird. They issued this impression. It's an artist's impression of a man without a face. It's really strange because usually artist impressions are a face, because it was based on a description given to them by two witnesses who were not close enough to this guy to see his facial features. They saw a man at the junction of Hemdean Road and Victoria Road. Now, this is yards from the Salvini home. Literally, not very meters, we're talking. Now, this is at 4:40 a.m. This is shortly before the fire took hold. Now, he was described as being between 5'8" and 5'11" and had short, dark hair. He was wearing a padded light, like lumberjack style shirt or a jacket with this predominantly white check pattern on it. Now, that's all they know about him. These two witnesses have seen this guy about 20 to 5 in the morning, just before the fire. They haven't said the way he was acting weirdly, but I mean, there's not a lot of people out and about at 20 to 5 in the morning, just like wandering around, In August of that year, police cleared an overgrown area at the junction of Hemdean Road and Victoria Road where this guy had been seen standing. And it was the second time that they'd actually searched that area, but they found nothing. They checked the drains in the area. They also checked the River Thames to see whether there was any discarded stuff, close to the area that had sunk to the bottom. And there was nothing, absolutely nothing. This guy that's it. That's all they've got. The artist's impression is it's quite eerie. It's a very weird picture. It's just this guy in this lumberjack with like no face. The whole point of an artist's impression is to kind of,
How does that even help? How does it help?
Yeah. I guess maybe just the clothes, the hair, they don't know what he actually looked like. I mean, if they did an impression of him, it could be completely wrong, couldn't it? So
look, if this was 1997 Seattle and that's what they put out there, that'd be like half the population.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Now, there was an arrest on the 6th of August 97. 33-year-old Stephen Duffy and his common law wife were arrested at their home in Cavendish Road. Now, forensic tests were carried out on his vehicle and their home was searched. He had previously been interviewed by detectives and was arrested on suspicion of murder. His partner was arrested on suspicion of aiding and abetting, but both were released without charge. Now, if you Google Duffy, there's an interesting character. See, police refused his application for the return of his gun license in a court hearing in Reading in 1998. Now, counsel for the Thames Valley Police described Duffy, who owned a wine shop, as a cruel and dangerous man, and that he remained a suspect in Emily's murder and would remain a suspect for the foreseeable future. It was reported that he was one of 2 male suspects in the inquiry, but neither had been eliminated.
Oh, wow.
So police dug very deeply into the background of Duffy. Trust me, you don't want to do this. The police had interviewed 3 former partners who described this guy as violent, abusive, very controlling behavior in a relationship. He had reportedly caused one to miscarry after pushing her down the stairs and kicking her in the stomach. God.
Okay.
He denied all these allegations against him. He was never charged in connection with Emily's murder. But in 2002, he was found guilty of sex with an underage girl.
Oh.
He was jailed for a year and ordered to be put on the sex offenders register for 10 years after he was released. So this guy, regardless of anything else, has not got the best character at all.
No.
I don't think he's ever been completely cleared of Emily's murder. I believe from what I've read that he still remains a suspect.
Is there any indication of a connection to Katie?
So I
or
looked for this.
Emily?
Yeah, I looked for this, and I'm guessing that the reason that they're talking about the sex with an underage girl is possibly because they're trying to kind of make him look like it's something to do with Emily. But I can't find anything that connects him to either Emily or to Marco or to Katie. Obviously not Zach because he's a tiny baby, but I can't find anything online that connects them or any reason why the police believe that he would have the intentions to go and do something like that. I know that he is one of two men. They've obviously got reasons why he's a suspect in the inquiry, but whatever reasons they've got, they haven't released to the public that I can find. I mean, feel free to go in. I looked on Reddit and Web Sleuth, and there's nothing.
I would like to think that if they went as so far as to arrest him and arrest his partner, wife, whatever she is, charge her with something.
Yeah.
I would like to think that there's probably some substantial information that they have that would lead them to make that arrest.
Yeah.
So maybe they have information which to them they say, okay, yeah, this guy is involved, but maybe we don't have enough information to prove that he actually committed the act.
Yeah. I think that's the case. Well, because Katie believes, I mean, she's said on record, she believes that she's come face to face with her daughter's killer since that night. She believes that there are these two very strong suspects locally, and she believes that they still live locally, and that one of them has a grudge against her for standing up for a friend. She thinks that the killer still lives in the area. So, I mean, she's mentioned these two suspects. She's mentioned the fact that they could have a grudge against her for standing up for a friend. So I wonder if there's perhaps something that's happened that she can't talk about, actually come forthright, outright and say it, in the media, or, whether she's been told not to. But locally, the rumor is that the two people locally know who the two people are, and that there just isn't the evidence to kind of, put them where they are. I mean, she did also say on record that anyone around the local area that knew her knew that those children would have been picked up at 10 o'clock that Saturday morning, and that they would have been away that week until the Thursday evening. So if it was a grudge against her particularly, she would have been home alone. That person didn't need to do that, and didn't need to do that when the kids were there.
Oh yeah.
She would have been home alone. She said, she says that she was described as quite a vivacious woman. She's got, I mean, at the time of her last interview, she had bright pink hair. She is described as being very well known at the local pub where she used to socialize when the kids are with their dad. So she's known locally. People know who she is. She's a character. So people would know who Katie was. So she said whoever did this knew that the kids were home with me, because people would know that Marco picked them up 10 o'clock that morning and that they would be away with Marco. So for somebody to have gotten away with it for 20 years, they've been extremely clever to have thought this out and worked it the way it's done. I mean, even in 2001, Emily's murder was featured on Crime Watch. And I mean, even that brought nobody of significance forward for the police.
It has to be someone so
pissed at
evil.
her. Yeah.
No, evil.
Well, yeah.
That's evil.
Yeah.
Because you're okay, yeah, you might be angry at her for some dumb reason, but to go as so far as to put children in danger?
Little children in danger too.
You have to have
No conscience whatsoever.
No conscience. There's something seriously wrong with you.
In 2017, it was the 20th anniversary of Katie's attack. Now, on Emily's attack, Katie and her son Zach, who was 23 in 2017, they made a new appeal for information about Emily's killer. It's a very sad, very hard interview to watch. It's available on the internet. You can just Google it, and it's available on the internet. You can also hear Marco talking about his daughter, and talking about how this has affected him. Katie talks about Emily very fondly. It's very lovely. She talks about what sort of little girl she is. Zach has no memory of Katie whatsoever, of Emmeline whatsoever. What he knows of her is all that he's seen on. There's a lot of children's videos. There's a lot of home movies of them that the mum's posted online, that the police have released. There's a lot of talk about how she was, and what a lovely little girl she was, of course. And it's very sad to see Zach talking about his sister and having not actually knowing her. The videos of them playing together and stuff like that. And it must be hard for him to watch that, but not have any recollection of it whatsoever. It must be really difficult. But Katie's now got two more children, Laurie and Sebastian. And Thames Valley Police said that they would be carrying out new forensic tests as recently as 2017 on fire debris that they retrieved from the scene of the crime. So they are carrying out forensic tests. What they are at the moment, we don't know, but they are still testing things and still going through evidence that they found there. And at this time, Emily's murder is still unsolved. Her murderer is still at large. Usually cases like this are all over Reddit with what people think's happened, and and on web sleuths, nothing. I looked and there's no threads about this whatsoever. There's not very much more than the recent videos and the recent appeals that Marco, Katie, and Zach have done. But I do have stuff. Like, anyone with information can contact Peter Byrne, the head of Thames Valley Police's major crime review team. You can go to your nearest police station. You can email us. You can email directly to Thames Valley Police. I think they give me a reference number, which was 84826/4. So there's nothing. It's a very frustrating, I think, and sad case in that a child was taken away from her family for no reason.
What? For what? Yeah, nothing.
For nothing. And the fact that this person was, I'm not saying forensically aware, but this person was that.
They put effort into.
They did.
Preventing help.
They did.
To be rendered.
Very, very, very correct. Yeah.
They were hoping that someone or everyone in that house would perish.
Yes.
That was their hope.
Yeah. And obviously, like, locally, people have got an idea of who it is, but there's just not enough to pin it on those people.
How frustrating is that?
Really bad, isn't it?
It's so frustrating.
And when you see the mum talking about it 20 years later, and it's still raw, and she's still so obviously so sad, you just realize that single thing that they did has changed that woman's life forever. Yeah. And obviously her dad's life forever too. For what? But what did you get from it?
I was just looking, and it had to been a horrendous fire, because Katie, you look at her now, like, she has the scars from the fire on
Zach
her body,
does too,
on her face.
Yeah.
So every day they wake up and they see that.
Yeah.
They can't. I mean, they were never gonna forget it anyways.
No.
Can't forget something like that. But
it's an instant reminder, isn't it?
Instant reminder. Every day you wake up and you have a reminder of that day, and you're a reminder of what you lost.
Yeah. Every reflective surface, everything, every window, everything.
You're a little girl who, regardless of what mom may or may not have done, or dad, or whoever, a little girl lost her life that didn't deserve to die. She didn't do anything.
No.
She didn't do
Absolutely
anything.
innocent. I told you it was a sad case.
Yeah.
And I don't remember. I mean, was I 17 at the time? Maybe it's just because I was a 17-year-old, but I don't remember this case. And I think that more people should know about this case because I think this was horrific. And I think that whoever those people are, I'm guessing that people have come forward and gone to the police with their names. There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way to catch them. And there's got to be something that links them to this crime. Somebody has got to be able to stand there and say 100%, I know he did it because of this. I know, I will testify. I witness, I know it happened. You know that, I know that, and they know that. And for God's sake, just have some balls to stand up and just give that little girl some justice because she deserves it. She did nothing wrong.
Don't protect a piece of shit.
Exactly.
Know?
Somebody who can set fire to a house with children in it. Like, what kind of person does that?
Dude, if he was, he was a piece of shit in 1997.
Still a piece of shit now.
Now, 2022. He's still a piece of shit.
And also, why would you protect somebody like that? That makes you just as bad as him. Why would you protect somebody who did that to somebody? A death in a fire is horrific. Any death is horrific, but there are means of death that are, not as horrific as that. That is a horrific way to die. If you can inflict that on somebody else, why would you want to protect somebody like that? Why would you want to help them in any way?
Yeah.
No,
exactly.
That's just not good. So if you're listening and you do know who did this and you don't stand up, you need to take a good look at yourself.
Just as bad as them.
Yeah. And that is this week's case for you.
Thank you for that.
No problem.
All right, Sherry. Well, how about we end this episode off on a lighter note and do a little dumb criminal?
Hey, you's a dummy and you's a piece of shit.
I love the way he says that. Oh, it does make me laugh. I do like the way he says that.
Piece of shit.
Piece of shit. It makes me laugh. Oh, I don't know.
All right, Cherry. So if you are going to be speeding down a major freeway and you're carrying a lot of drugs, you would think that you would want to do a good job of hiding those drugs just in case you get pulled over by the police, right?
Well, yeah, obviously.
But Ian Simmons and Joshua Reinhardt were not the smartest when it came to hiding their drugs.
Okay. Yeah.
So this was back in 2020 in Santa Rosa County, Florida.
Oh, that sounds nice. Santa Rosa County. I like the sound of that place. That sounds really sweet.
Now I've never been there. I have no idea what it is. I'm sure someone's going to reply and be like, no, Santa Rosa County is not nice.
Oh, I hope it is. But it sounds kind of cute, doesn't it? Like, oh, I live in Santa Rosa County. I like it. Okay. It's probably like a drug haven now or something, isn't it?
Probably, right? Now, according to the Florida Highway Patrol, the two of them had been clocked at going 95 miles an hour down Interstate 10 in the state's Panhandle.
Oh, okay.
Now, they were, of course, pulled over, and the trooper determined that Reinhardt was a subject of a active felony warrant for a probation violation, and he then requested backup.
Oh, dear. So he's speeding, so he's got the attention of police straight off.
Got the attention of
idiot.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So his backup arrived, which was another Santa County Sheriff's deputy, who also alerted and brought in a K9 unit to see if they were able to determine if there was any contraband in the vehicle.
Oh, clever. Okay.
Well, authorities did end up finding approximately 75 grams of methamphetamine, 1.36 kilograms of the date rape drug GHB.
No, kilograms. Wow.
1 gram of cocaine.
Just the one.
3.6 grams of fentanyl.
Oh, wow.
15 MDMA tablets as well as drug paraphernalia.
Don't tell me
Okay?
they had these all up their butts or something. That would be dodgy.
Well,
Kilos up their
they
bums.
did not.
Okay,
They
good.
did not. But
Okay.
they actually had their drugs stored
Mm.
in a bag labeled "bag full of drugs."
Oh my god! Oh my god! Who even does that? Why would you do that?
Ian
Hey,
Simmons
here's my bag
and
of
Joshua
drugs.
Reinhardt do that.
Oh my god!
They had 2 bags, which clear as day, across the whole bag says "drug" or "bag full of drugs."
Okay, so because you don't know what's in the bag, do you? Just to remind you, just in case you forget, where's my lunch bag? Oh no, this is bag of lunch. This is bag full of drugs. Oh
Yeah.
my god. That's crazy. These dumb criminals get better every week. They just get better and better.
I mean, look at here. I'll send you a picture right now, just so you can see.
Oh my
It is
god.
literally labeled "bag
Drugs.
full of drugs."
Oh my god, that is just horrendous. But like they look like professionally made bags though, don't they?
Yes.
So like where would you even buy something like that?
Probably like Spencer. Like they look like something you'd buy like at Spencer's Gift or something.
They
I don't know if you know what
do.
that is.
Well, no, I'm guessing it's like a gift shop, but I mean,
Yeah.
I wonder if that's like a joke, for people that like
No, yeah.
have to have like medicine or something, They have to go to hospital.
Yeah.
This is my bag of drugs,
Yeah, exactly.
It's
But they're
supposed
like,
to be ironic,
"Oh,
but
that's funny.
we'll actually put our drugs in there. The police
Cops will never believe it that there's really drugs in here."
The police must have looked at that and gone, very funny. Let's open it. Oh my god, it actually is a bag full of drugs.
Full of drugs.
If you look at the amount of stuff they've got there, though, like that's a whole load of stuff there.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I mean, obviously, I think they would probably get done for possession as well as intent to supply, because I don't suppose they're going to take all of that themselves. But scary what they've got, isn't it? Like they've got MDMA, they've got cocaine. That's like, I wonder what kind of people these were. I mean, are they?
Are
they going out partying or what?
They're not like Oxford scholars or anything.
Well, no,
that's for sure.
No. Well, that sometimes they say like do the obvious and people will never know. Maybe that's why they did it. The police they'll never believe it. They'll just think it's makeup or something. Oh, how crazy. That's brilliant. That's a really good one. I love the fact that the police have put the Interstate 10 badge behind all the drugs too, just so just so you know. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's mad. They get worse, don't they, every week?
Oh my god, so stupid.
Well done. That's a great one.
You know what? I'm glad that there are stupid criminals out there, not just because it makes it a little easier, at the end of these episodes, but the fact that it's easy to get them off the streets.
Yeah, definitely. Because God knows what they were going to do with that lot. So I'm glad that they got caught. I'm glad that they all got taken away from them, because God knows where that would have ended up. Probably a college somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Imagine, the date rape drug especially. Imagine how many people that saved. Because, like, I don't know. Well, I'm not that sort of clued up on drugs, but I would imagine it's not going to be used for any good.
No.
People, no, I don't know if do they. I don't know if they get high off the I don't think they do. GHB is usually to knock you out, isn't it? So bad stuff was going to happen. So they've saved.
Absolutely.
Those police officers have saved a lot of people for that. It's crazy.
Yep,
absolutely. It's crazy. Oh, God.
It really is.
Thank you so much for that. And thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of our podcast. We do appreciate all your comments and your kind messages. And thanks for all the suggestions that you've got for cases. If there's a case that you would like us to have a look at that, I don't know, of, or it's something that you've always been interested in and you want us to have a look and see if maybe we could feature it on the show, just send it over to us. We'll have a look and see if we can help and do something with it. You can find us on all the social media platforms, but probably your quickest reply will probably be Instagram, to be fair. We're usually on that quite a lot, the two of us. So yeah, Instagram is good. Or go on our website, crimepediapodcast.com. You can see our merch store and stuff. So yeah, we want to see pictures of you in your merch because we love it. It's really nice when someone sends us a picture. So thank you very much for getting that too. We will be back next week with another episode. I think that's our last one before Vegas, isn't it, next week?
I think so.
I think it is. I think it's the last one before we go
Maybe.
away, because we're away
think
like the
so.
following Wednesday. So yes,
Oh,
last
yes,
week,
right.
last week. So next week will be Morgan's case, and then we'll be at Vegas, where we'll probably be bringing you lots of live stuff, and then we'll get back to cases as soon as we've recovered when we've got back. So for now,
Right.
be nice.
And bye.